This screencast is an introduction to the Lucidchart software, which you can use online. To access the Lucidchart software, you go to www.lucidchart.com, and I recommend strongly that you apply as soon as possible for an educational license for the software, which is free. However, you do need to apply for that. In the meantime, you can sign up for a free account, which is limited to 5 diagrams. And you can, of course, delete some of those diagrams and work on other ones, but once you have an unlimited account, an educational account, you won't be limited to those 5 diagrams. Now, Lucidchart's a very easy piece of software to use. It's just drag and drop various shapes and move them around. It may take a little while to get used to, but it's very, as I said, it's very easy to use. Now, the first thing that we'll need to do is to change this particular screencast is to introduce you to Lucidchart, and particularly to set up the palettes that you'll need for some of the work that we'll be doing. But the first thing that we're going to do is change the title of this particular document that we're going to use. So the title's up the top, and you can just click on it and it will ask you to enter a new title. So I'm just going to call this one Example. And you can see it's changed it. Now it will save it in your account as that name. So give them reasonable names usually. Now the other thing is that you've got all these palettes over here, the standard palette, flowcharts, shapes and so on. You can scroll down, it's got user images. You can actually add more palettes to this. Flowchart and shapes, you can just make them smaller if you like. Concertina them up, and you can click on down here, this button down here, more shapes. If you click on that, it actually gives you options of quite a lot of different other palettes, so that you can draw different sorts of diagrams. Now the one that we'll be concentrating on most is the UML palette. If we open this up, it's got lots of sub palettes. UML, remember, is Unified Modeling Language, so a lot of the models that we'll be using will be using this language, and we'll be doing these diagrams. So, for example, we're going to be doing an activity diagram. I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video. So if I click on this, and you can see if I scroll down, it gives me an example of the palette. And it's got a lot of the different shapes that I will need for drawing an activity diagram. You can see that we'll be also using quite a few of these others, and we'll also be using entity relationship diagrams here. So once you've chosen the palettes that you want, you can choose more than one, where I'm only just going to choose one at the moment, and click on Save, and you can see that it has now appeared here. Now that means that you have quite a few different objects on this palette that you can use. For example, the start, an end, you have a swim lane. So this one is, how we're going to actually build the whole diagram, but you've also got activities, and you've got decisions, or a branch, and a number of other symbols that we're going to need for our diagram. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to use, and we'll be exploring more of it as we go through this series.